Out there, this is a video about soap making, the basic processes and materials you need. I'm not going to show any steps, I'll just talk about it. I'm making this video for a friend named Suzy. Suzy asked me about soap a little while ago, and then she moved to Alaska, and I'm in Virginia, and I can't go to Suzy's house to make soap. So, I'm doing this on a video. Alright, the basic ingredients for soap. Oh, by the way, Suzy, what you need to know is Gus and I looked this up for camp to try and make it for kids. And we were trying to use the Foxfire book, and that didn't show us a whole lot of detail. So we decided not to go with it. But we made biodiesel, which is a very similar process, same materials. Yeah, for those of y'all who don't know the Foxfire book, read it. It's about kids in West Virginia areas, Appalachian Mountains, went out and interviewed their grandparents and their parents and their family about how they used to do things. And so it has people telling stories of growing up, skinning hogs in the backyard, making apple butter, all kinds of stuff, making soap, building a log cabin, the stuff people would do in Appalachia. Alright, so that's a little bit about that. That's where we started looking. But then I went to a farm internship, and a guy named John on New Beginning Farm in Greenville showed me this. Basic ingredients for soap. Here we go. You need a fat. You need some kind of fat, a triglyceride fat. So this is olive oil. This is safflower oil. You could use coconut oil. Anything you want. This is some bacon fat, hamburger fat that I rendered down from my parents' house. Cooking hamburgers, you save the grease. You can use that for soap later on. So you need an oil. You need a strong base like lye, and lye usually has to be dissolved in water. So get some water. Use rainwater if you want. Lye. This is where I get lye. I buy lye at the hardware store, the farmer's co-op. And you have to get this where it's 100% lye. Don't buy a drain cleaner like Drano that has lye in it but has other nasty stuff. You want 100% pure lye, sodium hydroxide. You can order through chemical lab companies, potassium hydroxide. If you use potassium hydroxide, you get liquid soap. Sodium hydroxide will give you solid soap. Yeah, so this guy, skull and crossbones. Why is this dangerous? Well, here, I'll show you a little bit. Lye is sodium hydroxide. Once you dissolve it in water, the sodium separates from the hydroxide, and you have an Na plus sodium and hydroxide, OH minus. And that OH minus in the water has that strong negative charge, and that H with the O pulling on the negative with the negative charge is tearing things apart. And so if it gets on your skin, it can tear your skin apart. You don't want that. Wear gloves, rubber apron, safety goggles, all that stuff. Do this thing outside. The fumes I'll tell you about in a minute. Now that's going to react with our triglyceride in our oil, which oils are glycerol with the fatty acid chains coming off. So this is a triglyceride. 3 fatty acid chains. These have hydrogens all around, no charge. The water doesn't want to touch it. That's why oil beads up and doesn't dissolve in water. No charge. This OH minus comes through and cuts each of those chains off and leaves a special thing here that has a charge. And those ends of the molecule can dissolve in water. The water will hold on to that. And it's called a surfactant. It'll dissolve in water. Soaps do this. And your fatty acid chain is still nonpolar. There's no charges on this end. So that is actually going to be sticking to other oils in the mix. And this is going to be sticking to the water. So when you wash your hands, this part of the molecule sticks to the water. This part of the molecule sticks to the dirt. And it washes away as the water washes away. That's how soap works. So, alright. Now, in that reaction, the steps you need to take. Because you have lye in this jar. Now in the Foxfire book, the old way to get lye was you take ashes from hardwood, oaks, hickories, maples, pull the ashes out of your furnace, run water through them, usually rainwater. You get a barrel with a tap in the bottom, run water across it, collect the water underneath. Do that a couple times. They would say if you could take a raw egg, float it in the water, and it had already been soaking in the ashes, if the egg could float, then you had enough lye in your water mixture to do this reaction. Nowadays, people are using this and measuring it out and stuff. That's how that works. When you got this stuff, like I said, it's a strong base. It tears that oil apart. It could tear your skin apart. You want to keep some vinegar handy. Acid-base chemistry. Vinegar, you remember, is an acid, 5% acidity. Fairly strong acid. Keep this nearby, and if you spill the lye by accident, if it gets on your skin, you want to rinse it off with vinegar first, because the vinegar has H+ floating around in water, causing things to burn, which will meet those OH- and just neutralize into water. So keep some vinegar around. If you get it on your hands, rinse it with vinegar, rinse it with lots and lots and lots and lots of water. The lye powder is not harmful till it dissolves in water, but it will pull water from the air because it's so dry. Alright, so those are your basics: water, oil, and lye. A couple other things you need. You're going to need a scale. Get a scale that can measure in grams or ounces, and you find your recipe in either grams or ounces. Everything's done by weight. It's chemistry. Take the scale. First step you're going to do is dissolve your lye in water, unless you got it from the ashes and it's already in the water. So, dissolve your lye in water. You're going to take your scale. You're going to put the containers you want to use, actually, by the way, are things that won't react. A strong base is going to react to aluminum. Don't use aluminum pans. I'm using stainless steel. I figure that's the easiest one. So I got a stainless steel pot, stainless steel spoon, stainless steel mixing bowl, and I got a little glass mixing bowl. That's fine to use too. So I'll take something little, hold the lye, zero the scale, get as much lye as I need by pouring it out or spooning it out, being very careful not to touch it. I'm going to get the lye in here, set that aside. Don't let it sit too long, it's going to start pulling water from the air. Set something else to mix it in on top with the scale, zero the scale, add your water until you get the amount of water you need. Then you're going to come back over here without touching the lye powder. Do this outside, okay? You're going to take the lye, you're going to dissolve it in water. That's a reaction that causes it to heat up very quickly. Endothermic reaction, I think that's right. It takes heat in, causes heat to be expelled. Maybe that's exothermic. I forget. Chemistry, it's a little beyond me, but it's going to get real hot. So you want to do this outside. You're going to see vapors come out of there. It's going to have some fumes. Don't sniff the fumes. So do this outside or under a fume hole. Smell it. It could knock you out. I had a smell of that in the chemistry class lab. God, I thought I was going to pass out, but that's what happens. So it's going to get hot. Be careful. Set it outside. Let the vapors go. Stir it up until it's all mixed. Let it cool. It's going to get to about 180 degrees. Let it cool. You want this thing around 100 before you mix it to the fat. So that's your lye water. If you got it from the ashes, you got enough lye, you're ready to go. But mixing it from the powder is going to be real hot. As that's cooling down, take a stainless steel pot and add your oil. Add your fat, your oil. You're going to want to weigh that out on the scale. Get the right mass on the pot. Put it on the stove, fire, solar oven, whatever you got. Heat that up to about 100 degrees. With liquid oils, I stop at 95. I found that works better. With the solid fats, it needs to be a little higher, 110 or so. Get that warm. It's going to take a long time for it to cool down, so keep watching it with your thermometer and make sure it doesn't get too hot. So once it's hot, ready to go, let that set, let that cool down. When they're about the same temperature, around 100, vary a little bit, so 100 is a good ballpark number. 95 for liquid oils, 105, 110 for solid oils. When you find your soap recipe, you'll find that. Then, when the temperatures are the same, you're ready to mix them, carefully pour your dangerous, toxic, will burn your eye out lye mixture into the pot of oil. And you take that, rinse this out with vinegar and water and put it in the sink and let a lot of water run on it. Let all of that stuff get out of here. Let it dissolve in water. You don't want to touch that residue. Same with this little guy. Just rinse it out a whole lot. Vinegar to neutralize it if you don't have a lot of water in it. Stir. You got to stir a lot. You're going to stir that oil and lye mixture until you find what's called traces. It'll foam up. It'll kind of turn white, and you're going to start to see a little line kind of tracing the spoon around, following the spoon. Almost like gravy. When you're pouring it, it's going to be like the shadow of water on air. You're going to have to stir it for about 30 minutes by hand, mixing it up. When you've reached traces, you'll know you can take a spoonful, you pick it up, you drop it down, and it kind of clumps on top before it settles in the bottom. Jam is kind of similar, and it takes a little feel for it to get to where you're at. The old timers would do it over the fire all day long. People nowadays, you'll see on soap making websites and stuff, they say to use one of these guys, a immersion blender. Plugs in, it spins around, it's got like a blender blade on the bottom. You put that in there, once you've added the lye water to the vat, you can put that in there, push the button, grind it up, and it mixes super quickly, and you're going to reach those traces in probably 5 minutes or less, maybe just a minute. Be really careful with that, don't cut your fingers off. I got this at Goodwill for I think $5. You can find them around. Yeah, that's the other way. They'll grind it up this way. Once you've reached the traces, that's when you can add stuff to make it smell good. I tend to go with sometimes eucalyptus and tea tree oils. You buy these essential oils or fragrances at natural stores, DP food stores, wherever you can go to get that. That's when you'd also add color once you make the traces. When you've made traces, you pour it in your mold, and you let it cure overnight, and sometimes it needs several weeks to cure. That's the basics. Sometimes I've seen with the olive oil, it won't mix entirely the first time, and you come back and check it the next day, and it'll have separated. You have to stir it again to get back to traces. When you reach traces, you want to put it in something. Use Tupperware, a cardboard box with plastic lining, let it cure, wrap it in towels to keep it warm for a little longer. I actually learned with olive oil, if you're doing soap, to get the olive pomace oil. Pomace oil is what's left over after they get the virgin olive oil out. They run some chemicals through the leftover pomace to get it out, get more oils out, and that is actually a more denatured oil. It's easier, it does the chemical reaction a little faster. It's already kind of broken down the triglyceride a little bit. Alright, that's that. Once it cures overnight, you can let it sit probably 2 or 3 days. Cut it into bars. You can get a mold that's already cut into bars. I just kind of cut it, it's lopsided. This is a bar I made from bacon fat. Yeah. You'll notice as it lather up, once you've got traces, and you can kind of wash your hands with it sometimes. It's still burning your hands, you haven't got traces yet. Those are the basics for soap making. If I get a chance, I'll rig up a video that shows some pictures of what traces look like, the process of what I'm doing. Main thing you need to know is don't fool around with this stuff. Yeah, because you don't want to end up like the guy on the picture. And don't use another kind of drain cleaner, 100% lye. They may check you out at the store when you're buying the stuff. This is one of the things you can make crystal meth out of, so be aware of that. They might check you out. They say, what are you trying to do? You can't have that much of lye, you know. So let them know you make it soap. Be upfront with them. Bring them some bars of soap. Yeah, be careful with that. That's the essentials. Let me know if you have questions, and keep trying these type of new things. Do it. Learn what you can. There's 1.5 billion videos online, and to find recipes, I'd recommend brambleberry.com, or just type in online lye calculator. You can say how much fat you have. It'll tell you how much lye and water that you need. So it's all chemistry. It's all fun. It's all good stuff to make for your own self. There's a lot of chemicals nowadays, and they just recently took a lot of antibacterial stuff out of soap chemicals. But all you need is fat and lye. Good luck, and